About 8 years ago, I made a video on this same subject, and it stretched to 45 minutes. And one of my viewers wrote to me and said, it's too long. I promised to shorten it. I said, I'll do it in 3 minutes. But I don't know, I can't do it in 3 minutes, but I'll make it considerably shorter than the first one. So I'm talking about Prout, the progressive utilization theory. And this is an alternative economic and social theory which was developed by an Indian philosopher named Prout Ranjan Sarkar, or P.R. Sarkar, in the 1950s. He first introduced it. And why I say alternative, it's an alternative to capitalism. It's an alternative to Marxism. So, and it corrects the defects of both systems. So it's something that we need to consider, because we're in a time of crisis. As I'm recording this, we have the COVID-19 pandemic crisis, but we have a serious crisis of leadership in this world, because we have severe social and economic problems, but the leadership is usually vested in the hands of people who are not interested to serve society, but they're interested to gain either for themselves or for their cronies. They're trying to pad the wallets, pad the bank accounts of certain special interests. So we need a different kind of system. But in order to do that, we need a whole overhaul. So Prout is that overhaul, and I'll try to explain it the best I can in this short time. So first of all, it depends. Prout is based on a certain, you can say it's a spiritual premise. That's why you have a yogi here telling you about it. But it depends on its premise, and the actual ramifications of that premise is not so difficult. It says that we're all in this together. We're all humans are here together. We affect each other. We live in a way as a family, because everything that I do eventually affects someone else, and that affects others. We're all in this together. And not only that, there's another very interesting thing, is that each one of us, no matter what you accumulate in this world, none of us, not you, not me, not anybody else, is going to be able to take that into their next, wherever they're going afterwards. They're not going to be born with already to have a new bank account that is from the last life, or nothing like that. Or no, you can't take it with you. So we're here as a transitory phenomenon, and we have to get along together. There is a spiritual basis of that. The Indian philosophers say the reason for that is because this whole universe is a projection, a thought projection of the cosmic mind. We're a projection of that cosmic mind. That's all we are, and that's why we can't take anything with us. And because of that, nobody can really claim exclusive ownership of something. You say, this is mine. You're going to die. You're not going to hold it. Okay, you may be able to hold it for your family, but and even that thing, whatever you're trying to hold on, is going to disappear. So this is the first premise. We're all in this together. So then, if we're all in this together, then we should live as if we're all in this together. We should live as if we were a family. So if you have a family, and let's say you have 5 people living in the house, and if your kid brother wants to eat everything in the kitchen, and nobody else is going to have anything, you won't accept that. But in our society today, that's the way it is, especially under capitalism. Someone can grab and grab and grab, and sometimes the grabbing of one person or a few people results in the deprivation of others. It's a fact. So this is not a good idea. But the people, if I introduce this concept, because one of the first principles of Prout is that there should be a cap on the upper limit of wealth accumulation. And some people will howl if I say, let's say I put a cap of $10 million. Some people will say, most of us, we won't care, we'll never be affected. But there has to be a limit, and society has to set that limit. So this is a very important concept. But then, a very valid concept is that, how are people going to have incentive? But do you need billions of dollars to have incentive? Suppose we had a system where you're working in a firm, and the janitor is making a certain amount of money, but the CEO is not making 250 times more, but maybe 10 times, maybe 15 times. But there is some kind of rational thing. It gives incentive for you to one day become that CEO or to become a manager, but it also it prevents someone from getting too much wealth and too much accumulation and too much power, because we'll get into the political aspect, but in our present system, those who have a lot of economic power, they buy the government. That's the way it works. So we need to have a system where there's a rational distribution. So Prout depends on that. There's a limit, there's rational distribution, and there's maximum utilization of the materials of the world to satisfy human needs. This is like some of the core values. And another core value is that we shouldn't let anyone suffer for the lack of the fundamental necessities of life: food, shelter, education, medical care. Everyone should be guaranteed that. How? Well, I'll explain that also. So this is kind of the premise. So the premise, we're all in this together, and we have a few principles about wealth accumulation and rational distribution, but what would it look like if we put this into action? So that's what I want to talk about in my brief time, because I'm already over the limit that I told this guy I would do it in. But so how are we going to do it? So one of the interesting ways that could be done is to reorganize the structure of economic enterprise. So today, the primary business organizing tool is the corporation. And the corporation is basically what I call an absentee landlord. The people who own the corporation don't necessarily work there. They could be even in another country. And the decisions they make sometimes badly affect the people who work there. So what Prout says is that we should have a three-tier economy. So on one tier would be private enterprise. But private enterprise here would be restricted to enterprises which are very small, maybe one employee, two employees, it could be a family, and which deal with non-essential goods. So if you're selling peanuts in front of the zoo, no one's going to say we should nationalize you and like that. No, do it. It's private. Okay, that's good. That's private enterprise. But the middle level, where most of the enterprises are, these should be worker owned and managed cooperatives. So it means, who are the shareholders? Not the absentee people. The shareholders are the people who work there. And there are some companies in the US that do this. One of the famous, King Arthur Flour in Vermont is an example of that. It's a worker-owned. And when there's a worker-owned cooperative, then we achieve something which is called economic democracy. Because you can vote. Every 4 years you vote for the president, but you don't have any kind of say about the working of your workplace, because you're just a worker, you're not an owner, in most cases, unless you're an individual proprietor. So we want to give economic democracy. So the majority of the enterprises under the system of Prout would be worker cooperatives. And then there's some industries, some enterprises which they're either too big to be managed by a cooperative, or they're too important. They affect the whole society, like mineral extraction, energy production, telecommunications, things like this. These things are not subject to cooperative ownership in most cases, but they should be put under public management. So public management means that the local government, in the case of where you do have a federal system, the local government, could mean the state government, would manage it. In places where there is no local government, we would a public board, but it should be public. So to think about it now, that some of the things which are going on in the fuel industry affect the whole climate. It affects generations. So should these decisions be made by a few people who are looking for their bottom line of profit, or should it be made in the public interest? So I think it should be made in the public interest. So if we would put these great enterprises, which we call key enterprises, I also call it the public sector. if we have a public sector, there are certain enterprises which should be under public control. So public control doesn't mean that the state in Washington or in Paris, the central government, but it means the immediate government. So this is the three-tier economy of Prout, of individual enterprise, but limited, cooperative enterprise, and then the key industries. This is how Prout would work. And then there's some other questions about how things are organized now. Things are very much imbalanced. Imbalanced because in certain areas are very rich, certain areas are very poor. And partly this is because of centralization. So things are centralized in some places, other places are left to be a backwater. So, and then also we have a different kind of concentration of enterprise. Certain places are industrial, certain places are completely agricultural. And when there's this kind of compartmentalization, certain places rise in prosperity, certain places languish in poverty and backwardness. So Prout advocates balanced economies. A balanced economy it has manufacturing, it has service, it has agriculture, it has industries which produce the food from the agriculture. It has different kind of things going on. But in the world today, we have some places are very industrialized, some places are we used to use the term banana republics. They just produce the bananas, and the economists said, don't worry, you produce bananas, we'll sell you the machinery. But the Prout says, no, let these places develop. We should have balanced economies all over the world. And this will solve the problem of migration, because why do people come here or to a rich place? Because there's no opportunity. So let's build opportunity throughout the world in different places. This is the idea of balanced regional economies. And if we could do this, the world will flourish everywhere, not just in one or two industrial places or one or two favorite areas. Why not everywhere? Everywhere can be a place where there's full employment of agriculture and industry, services, so many things are going on. And this brings me also to another point of, before I said that we should guarantee everybody gets the minimum necessities. So how are we going to do that? Now, some people, I know it's very fashionable to propose in the UBI, the Universal Basic, the government will write the check. No, this is not, I'll be unpopular with these people, but no, Prout says no. What we should do, we should provide employment which will give people enough purchasing power so that they can get these necessities. This is called a livable wage. This is one of the fights that is going on. Yeah, we should have a livable wage. Now, some people say, well, how are you going to do that? Because we have so much automation. That's why the UBI proposal came. So there's a very interesting way how we can provide that. One is that, you see, you people, everybody, we work 40-hour weeks, so sometimes 50-hour. This has been going on since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. It's a little bit less because once the trade union movement came. But we're still struggling. But productivity has gone up through the roof. But why are we still struggling? The reason is because productivity is just siphoned off as profits. But what our proposal is that when there is, in a cooperative system, in a collective system, when there's more profit, then the people have to work shorter hours. So if we reduce the hours, then we could still employ people, and we'll always find ways for people to do useful things. We can do that, but let's work less. Even hunter-gatherers, there are some studies of this. If you want to come to me, I'll give you the reference. Hunter-gatherers, they work less than industrialized people. They do their hunting and they rest. But we people, how much do we rest? We don't get a chance to rest, no. But under this system, the employment will be there for everybody, and the employment will provide the purchasing power. So this is the important thing. So one more thing that I want to mention is that right now, in order to carry this out, we need to create leadership in the society. And we need, because you can't do this with corrupt people. So there's this book called Animal Farm, where it's a parable about it's sort of mocking the Soviet system, and where the pigs take over the farm, and then they become just like the people who were exploiting before. So if you have people who are exploiting, you don't have good people. It could be even have the ideals may be good, but if you don't have good people, you can't do anything. So we need good people. So the idea of Prout is that the leadership should come from people who are have a record of public service, social service, have good character, good morality, and those should be the leaders. And our democracy should be reorganized. And we should get rid of the political parties. Oh, they're so useless, the political parties. And let people stand on their record of service and their record of character and their record of morality, of their individual goodness. Let them stand on their record, not on their party label. So this is the concept in Prout. So, and there's more to it, but I don't want to, otherwise I'll break my promise to that guy. So basically what it is, it's a system of collective responsibility, and the idea is not to impoverish people. So that's why people get so afraid, oh, we're all going to become poor. No, it's to raise the standard of living, but taking care of the environment, that's for sure, but to raise the standard and give people a chance to fulfill their higher nature. Let them work less, get what they need, and also will inspire them to do more and more. So this is Prout in a nutshell. And if you're interested in this, you should look it up at prout.info or proutalliance.org, and you could read more about it. But this is the way out of the dilemma, because the present system of capitalism is just it produces bad leadership, it concentrates wealth, it destroys the environment, it puts decision making in the hands of people who are self-interested and not publicly interested. And if we don't end it, the system will end us. Humans will not be allowed to live, won't be able to live on this planet. So it brooks no delay. We really have to change it. So look into this. It's a really fascinating topic, and I've already shortened my speech from the last time. So that's all I want to say. And thank you for listening. I appreciate your time. And if you have any comments or questions or feedback, I'm always happy to hear that. So thank you very much.